This is a review for the Greek World Exam, the upcoming Greek World Exam. The first question that I want to review with you is the one concerning the Heroon of Lepkandi. The Heroon, it just means a hero's tomb, sometimes called the Tumba. What I want you to describe is its date and period. How was it different from what came before and what came after? So the date, what I want you to do is just use the date as given in the textbook, but make sure not that it's started in some way. If the textbook says, for example, 950 to 900, that's not exactly what it says, but if it had said that, don't write that, just this. Don't say in the 10th century, because that's rather vague if you can bring notes, which you can. Don't say dating from precisely 950 because that's overly specific. Okay. Next point. So for the period, or not the date, but the period, consult the timeline. It'll give you a good idea. It starts on page 17 in the front of the book. So next I want you to say, why is it important? That is to say, what does the textbook say about it? If it says, for example, it's a very boring, rather small house with burials inside, just like we expected, just say that. If it says something else, find out what that is and paraphrase it. Don't quote extensive parts of the book, but put it in your own words, please. Did I say that loudly enough? Do not quote extensive sections of the book. Please put it in your own words. Sorry about that. We talked about this already. The defining features of the age, the period where this tomb comes from, is first of all the absence of writing, where it had been present before. Lower population levels, we did a whole day on that, I think. The relative poverty of the period, the fact that there were no great kings living in large palaces anymore, and, we thought, isolation. Okay. So why is it how, if at all, did any of these points apply or can be borne out by the Lepkandi tomb? So I just want you to concentrate really on what came before and how the Lepkandi tomb fits into its own period. So for the time period, just forget about the Archaic period, concentrate on the Mycenaean and the Dark Ages. Okay. In the textbook, this is a rather blurry photograph, I know, but you can see it says page 27. This is the page on which they illustrate some of the tomb findings, the tomb goods they found at Mycenae. A dagger with silver studs, nicely engraved or inlaid. It's a golden mask, so-called mask of Agamemnon, etc. On the next page, 28, is a description of what's found in the tomb. So you can use that to argue for either continuity with what was found at Lepkandi or change. I'm not quite sure. This is underneath the model of the clay house. I'm not quite sure what page. But in this paragraph, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. They describe not quite ancestor worship, but hero cult, and their relatively numerous tombs that they found bearing this sort of these votive offerings. Okay, so you should be able to do something with that, because it has to do with tombs in the Dark Ages. Okay. The next one, this is it identifies its period. They're late proto-geometric, so 950 to 900. was found in a cemetery. So, and again, grave goods. Just a simple pot with what to us look like simple decorations, but in fact you know that this is an advance. These geometric designs are an advance because of the techniques they use to make these circular drawings that are not distorted in any way. Another late geometric jug, this one was late proto-geometric, remember. So at the end of the very first period of the geometric period. Now, 200 years later, it's best just to use the terms of the object itself. So in this case, it's a geometric vase that comes from the late geometric period. They give a date, they give a place. They don't tell you it's from a cemetery. It is from the Dipolon Cemetery. In Athens. Sorry about this. The Dipolon Cemetery, sorry it's so small, outside the city walls of Athens. And it has a graffito on it. Right? So if you have graffiti, if you have only one, that's the singular is graffito. So that's, you should be able to say something about that. This is on a cup, a drinking cup from a tomb. Did they tell you where it's from? It's from Pithecusa or Ischia. We'll get to that in a second. And it has verses of poetry written. It gives a relative date, graffiti from the 8th century. It describes as the cup of Nestor, a Homeric reference, which is interesting because this is the period we expect Homer, or the Homeric tradition, to stem from. Yeah, so it's a very, very early reference to writing in this geometric age. Here we have another gold grave goods from an Athenian woman's tomb. So this is interesting. See if the text says anything about it other than this. I don't think it does, but it would be interesting if it could tell you where this gold came from, for example. I don't think it does. You could find something online, no doubt. That would be like A+ material if you could find anything out about. This is a famous woman's tomb. There aren't many like it from Athens. Okay. Here is the reference to Pithecusa, modern Ischia in the Bay of Naples. We'll get to the Bay of Naples in a moment. It was a mixed community, not only Greeks but Phoenicians living together. And this is where we found this remarkable cup, Pithecusa, modern Ischia in the Bay of Naples. So we'll go back to that in a second. So here is Lefkandi, right about there on this island here, Euboea. Lefkandi, no candy left, remember? No candy left, Lefkandi. And over here is Neapolis, Naples. And here's on this map anyway, this is the Bay of Naples here. The feeling they got this wrong slightly, it's really down here. But Kumi, this place, is right on the northern shore of the Bay of Naples. So, and the island of Pithecusi, is out in the Bay of Naples. Here it is here. So far from Greece. So this has to do with two things that we talked about in the Dark Ages. This is the geometric period we're talking about now. Number one, isolation. Now, in this case, we're talking about something different, which is colonization. Second thing of interest, is cultural mixing. Oops, sorry about that. Cultural mixing. Phoenicians, Greeks. There's more to it than that even, but I'm just going to let it go at that. Okay. So that's pretty much what I found for you. That should give you an outline of what I want you to include in your notes. All right. Stand by for the second video.